Hello everyone and welcome to VZ Education. My name is Sandeep Poonyan, and in today's video I'm going to talk to you about a few skills that you will need to master in order to do well on the MCAT exam. More specifically, I'm going to talk about scientific inquiry and reasoning skills. Now, the MCAT exam is a critical thinking test, and when it comes to questions, especially questions from the science sections such as psychological, social, and biological, you will most likely encounter questions that you will have to answer based on how you interpret a passage and how you interpret the question as a whole. Rarely will you get questions that require you to simply memorize information and then answer a question, as many of you are probably accustomed to when it comes to the different tests that you've written in your undergraduate career. Now for this video, I'm going to deconstruct both Skill 1 and Skill 2. A lot of the information that I am going to talk about you can find online as well. Again, the best resource is the AAMC website, and if you don't feel very confident in the information that I do give to you in this video and would like further explanation or some more details as well, I do recommend checking out some other resources. Now, a resource that has greatly helped me and a lot of other students as well are test prep books. And one that I have here myself is this MCAT 528 prep book by Kaplan. And in this book, they go through and explain quite in detail the setup of the MCAT exam and some specific strategies that can help you. So keep that in mind. I will provide all links in the description below for this video. With that said, let's begin and take a look at what exactly Skill 1 is. So Skill 1 is a relatively easy to understand skill. It basically tests your understanding of scientific concepts and principles. More specifically, when students do master Skill 1, they will be able to identify scientific concepts and be able to formulate their own opinions or formulate a sort of interpretation of what they are given. Adding on to that, students will be able to identify certain relationships in the passage, be able to identify and decipher the many different graphs or images that they are given on the MCAT exam, and to effectively use that to then go on further and answer the question. Skill 1 questions are relatively straightforward and should not be that challenging when it does come to writing the MCAT. Now the next skill you will need to master is skill number 2. And while it's very similar to skill number 1, it also shouldn't be written off as something easy to understand. While skill 1 tests your understanding of scientific concepts, skill 2 tests your reasoning and your ability to apply said knowledge to questions. In essence, once you master skill 2, you'll effectively be able to solve certain problems that are given to you on the MCAT exam. Now, some people refer to skill 2 as a somewhat complicated process, and the reason for that is that while you may be able to recall certain information and you may be able to understand certain passages, you will have to act like a detective by basically crossing a bunch of knowledge that you have now acquired and applying it directly. To do well on skill 2 type questions, you will have to become proficient, and not just content review, but also when it comes to practice. And with that said, I'd like to segue into the next little bit here that I want to talk about when it comes to skill 1 and skill 2 questions that you will most likely encounter on the MCAT exam. So as I said, skill 1 is relatively simple. The questions that you will get are quite discrete and in a way much more open-ended. In certain situations, you'll get standalone questions that are in a way thematically related to a passage that is provided to you. And in a majority of cases, much of these questions are heavy on data and how you interpret that data and then apply it to the passage and questions at the same time. Skill 2 questions then further expand on that. And this is the point when you will have to play that sort of detective role when it comes to understanding what the question is asking you and the information that is already provided to you. So skill 2 questions, they, as I like to think of it, they are built on Bloom's taxonomy in development. Because when it comes to skill 1 questions, let's say, you can memorize information, you can memorize certain concepts, and then you can go ahead and relate it back to the questions of the passage. Skill 2 questions, however, you will not only have to be able to memorize it, but you also have to articulate it in such a way where you have to basically explain processes that are occurring. So now, at the same time, you're not just memorizing and applying content, but you also have to analyze and evaluate the passage as a whole. And that can be tricky for students. Now, for the sake of this video, I'm not going to touch on Bloom's taxonomy. It can be a little complicated to comprehend. However, in future videos, I am going to expand on it. And when it comes time to prepare for the MCAT exam, I highly recommend you check out that section and then relate it back to skill 2. And that, my friends, is basically what skill 1 and skill 2 type questions are. They are not overly difficult and should be approached in a quite level-headed sense. The MCAT, again, is going to test you on quite a lot of knowledge that you should have prepared for. However, it's not as simple as just memorizing content and then writing the exam. It involves a lot of critical thinking. So at this point, when you are preparing for the MCAT, try to master these skills. Are you able to recognize certain concepts? Are you able to recall concepts and then apply it directly to the questions that are given to you? Work in this sort of way, this sort of thinking, and try to transform the way that you've become accustomed to, let's say, when it comes to answering questions that you've seen on different tests before that aren't set up the same way as the MCAT. Well, that said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to leave a comment down below and let me know what you thought, what I could improve on, and just what you'd like to see in future videos. Now, the next set of videos I will be touching on skill number 3 and skill number 4, followed by going over the skills required to effectively answer CARS-related questions. So again, I'm Sandeep for VZ Education, and I will see you here next time.